Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration and estate attorney Brian Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk a little more about funding the trust. There are other videos I've done which give the specifics of what exactly is funding the trust, but procedurally, what do you need to do to fund the trust? Well, first, you have to decide if you or your lawyer or a combination of between the both of you will fund the trust. It really depends. A lot of times with real estate, because of the complexities of the deeds of trust and everything that needs to go into that, the attorney generally will be retained to prepare the deeds of trust, the preliminary change of ownership, and everything necessary everything necessary in order to move the property into the trust. So depending how it is, generally the attorney will either handle all of the funding him or herself, letting you know what needs to be done and getting the information from you, or you will handle it all yourself, but the attorney will instruct you sorry. Must be allergic to something. Will instruct you more or less what to do. Or it'll be a combination. And again, the combination is usually the case. Generally, when people come through my office, I do everything necessary to get the real property into the trust. Funding the trust through the real property, doing the deed of trust and everything else, and getting it recorded and the preliminary change of ownership filed and all of that. But I do notify you then what needs to be done with the bank accounts and all of that. So keep in mind, if the property can go into the living trust, there's all kinds of benefits to it, and also anything that's in the living trust doesn't add up to a small affidavit of estate, the maximum amount, meaning that when you pass away, if there's certain things you forgot to put in the living trust or simply don't have in there, that if it's under $150,000, and I mean excluding what's in the living trust, then they can file a small affidavit of estate and get that transferred to you. So you want to make sure that it's properly done in the living trust, and then there are certain mechanics and funding of the living trust. So generally, regardless of what the property is, you have to prepare the documents that change the title or registration. You have to contact the holder of the asset and ask that the title or registration be changed. And again, like, let's just take, for example, you're talking about a car. The change needs to be prepared, the change of title and registration of that car. And then let's say, you have Ford Finance that basically made it. They would have to agree, well, not agree, because if you want to do it, you can do it, but they would have to change it on their system and so forth. And then of course you have to file the changing title or registration documents to make sure that it's properly changed. You can't just prepare it and get any information and have it sit on your desk. So it does take time, and it does take a little effort in which to get all of it done. Another item that you might want to look at is the bank accounts themselves. Bank and brokerage accounts, they generally require that you sign a new agreement stating who is the trustee of the account and the owner of the account. So generally, when you're doing the living trust, you will be the initial trustee. The grantor, settler, and initial trustee are essentially all the same person, and the bank and or brokerage wants to make sure that you, the trustee, own the account, so that's fine. Then you have to prepare a trust certification to the particular entity so that they know that the living trust is real. You don't have to put all the requirements in there, but just the certification of the trust, and then of course it will be transferred in there after that. So those are the basic requirements, procedurally what needs to be done. And again, if you come through my office, even if you don't want to retain my firm to do it all, I send you samples of what needs to be done and information, so at least you're aware. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, click subscribe, like, and then you can give my office a call, and I'll be happy to give you a free consultation, let you know what can be done, what the costs are, and so forth. Okay, more in the coming videos.